So thank you very much for joining us for navigating German visas, a guide for US citizens. We're going to talk a lot about visas today, but I want to say first who we are and what do we do. We are relocation immigration agency, and we are based in Berlin, Germany, but we work all over Germany. We work a lot with private clients, and we specialize in personal support across various aspects of relocation, which means also the visas, residence permit, um, any kind of step and bureaucracy that you would need during your relocation and immigration process. Those are two different things. And we have our services, visa, residence permit, work visas, study visas, family visas, and other visas. And I just want to say at the beginning already, full disclaimer, that visa is not a residence permit. We call it visa here because it's easier, or the name of the webinar is about visas because it's catchier. But actually, as US citizens, you don't need a visa to enter Germany and to ask for a residence permit. You can make all the arrangements for your residence permit, yours and your family's, from Germany. We do also relocation prep, which means it's an all-exclusive service, provides streamlined work plan, personalized and customized for each client, for each person, each family. It covers A to Z process. We even have plans that we have for more than a year before moving to Germany. We also do kindergarten, kindergarten and school search. Well, the situation here with kindergarten is a little bit complicated, not impossible, but we make it usually possible. So search and selection, contact and communication, and interview scheduling and preparation, and of course, contract review with the kindergarten and school sometimes. We also provide consultation and process accompanying for citizenship by birth or naturalization. And we have also children bureaucracy, medical accreditation, and many others. So just contact us as soon as you need something, and we try to make it happen. So let's dive in. So first, I want to just say the US has 50 states, Germany has 16. Most of the Americans live down south. I hope you can see my mouse, but basically this area from Bayern, Bavaria, Baden-Württemberg, Rheinland-Pfalz, and Saarland, and sometimes Hessen. Main cities are Munich, Stuttgart. There are others, Freiburg sometimes, of course, Berlin, because it's very multicultural and very English friendly. More than the others, and Hamburg also, but mainly the South because of the American bases. So a lot of military family, and it's very American friendly. By American friendly, for example, there are bigger parking spots, for example, because a lot of Americans actually bring their cars to Germany, and Germany don't have that much, it's not that big oriented. So down south, you have more American friendly car accessibility. What I'm going to talk tonight, all the residence permits are in the main because each state has different rules, different bureaucracies. So I'm going to talk about what is mostly shared through the states, the regulations, but there are states, there are specifics that some varies from state to state. So now we're talking generally, and hopefully that you wouldn't need more something specific. we'll try to see how it is. And we're going to start with work residence permits. So, of course, we're going to start with the most common one, which is European Union Blue Card. European Blue Card is for 4 years, given for 4 years, and you need a sponsor for the initial application. And after that, you're going through the a specific period of time, few months, and then you can also change without notifying the immigration office that you left the company that sponsored you. However, it's very, very important that you would have a sponsor. Otherwise, it might be a little bit problematic. It's also recommended that the sponsoring company would help you with the process, or that you would have a relocation agent that would be authorized with power of attorney from your company to do this process, because in some states you have fast track for blue card in general for work residence permits, but mainly for blue cards. The minimum salary that you would need for a blue card application is 41,041 euros, and in US dollars it's a little bit more than 43,000 euros annually. And this is after the lifting of this threshold that was much higher. But as of June 2024, this is the threshold. It's not very complicated to guess, mostly if you're in the IT industry, but also in other industries. You need to have 2 years minimum of experience and academic degree. Now, it used to be for federal regulation, federal term, that you have to have an academic degree in your field, the field that you're asking for. So if it's something related to science, physics, let's say, so you would have to have a degree, an academic degree in science. If it's IT, so high tech, so computer science, and etc. Something that is extremely important, we're going to talk about that afterwards, to bring your family with the blue card, but we're trying to do like the main points one by one, whatever is possible. So if you have specific questions, go ahead in the chat. Work residence permits. So for work residence permit, I call it regular, but it's vocational. And you, again, need a sponsored company that would give you either a contract or a job offer to add to your application. This is necessary in your application. And how it's valid as long as your contract is valid, which means if you got a contract or a job offer for 1 year, then it's valid for this 1 year. If in the middle of the year, the company extends your contract to unlimited, then it's possible to change to unlimited. That said, if you changed an employer, you have to notify the immigration office, unlike the blue card visa, the blue card residence permit. Experience is extremely needed because you have to show that you're able to, if you don't have academic degree, or you have an academic degree, but your salary is not enough for the threshold that they expect you. And the threshold is not very defined. It can be 2,700 a month, gross, and you just have to cover your living expenses. So they, in each state, they examine the cost of living versus your salary and see if you can sustain yourself. It is also kind of problematic because some companies would say, not a problem, you can get a contract, go get the visa yourself. And that might be an obstacle because in some states, you cannot apply for a work visa or blue card alone. You have to have the company or someone has to do it for you. And just a tip, if a company tells you, okay, come with us already with a work visa, we don't give you any documents beside, hey, a letter, and then don't go there because it's going to a limbo. In every work, either blue card or work, everything that goes through work residence permits, you would have to have a letter from the company that specifies why you, out of all people, out of all EU citizens that speak German, why you? I call it a love letter. So this is something to take under consideration. Now we're going to freelancer artist self-employed. Please know that if you're there's a difference between freelancer and self-employed. But I actually want to say a few words about the artist visa before we continue to the freelancer and self-employed. Artist visa is given to painters, singers, even graphic designers, composers, dancers, all of these, but only in Berlin. All the other states, you have to issue a freelancer residence permit. If you live in Stuttgart, for example, and you would like an artist visa, but it's also only possible in Berlin, by law, you're not allowed to say you live in Berlin and get the artist visa and to live in Stuttgart. And that's a basic rule for all the residence permits. It's valid, except for the blue card, sorry. Except for the blue card, it depends on what states you're in and what you live in. And that it means that if you get the work visa and they send you from Stuttgart to Munich, that's a different state, then you have to change the visa to the local immigration office. Freelancer visa, it means that I know that in the US it's a little bit different. In Germany, it means that you have to have more than 2 clients to work with. The visa is a little bit complicated. You have to show that you have profit potential in Germany and or in the EU. You can also have international clients, but in order to show the potential, you need to have at least 2 German clients that give you a letter of intent. They want to hire you as soon as you get the freelancer visa. You also have to prove that you can sustain yourself. And if you have a degree, you have to prove that the degree, usually it's relevant. It's also possible to obtain this visa, this residence permit, also if you don't have a degree. So this is very important. And a lot depends on the storytelling that you say. And this is something that we try to do very well so far with 100% success, that the storytelling that you do when you go to the meeting, to the appointment at the immigration office is very important because then you can show how can you sustain yourself, how can you support yourself and your family if you have with you, then you can combine a lot of other documents. Again, you need the letters of intent, but still you have other ways to show how you can support yourself. Self-employed, however, is different. Self-employed means that you are going to open a business in Germany. For that, you have to show business plan. You have to show your potential or the contribution, the future contribution that you're gonna add to Germany's economy. And you have to show how you're gonna hire locals, AKA Germans. And this is something that is a little bit more difficult to present, something that the immigration office would like. For freelance visa and self-employed visa, by law, they can hold a decision, send it to the Chamber of Commerce, the local Chamber of Commerce, and the decision can be made within 6 months. Within these 6 months, you're not allowed to leave Germany. You have to wait for the decision. It can be yes or no. Again, it depends how you tell your story. Artist visa in Berlin, for example, is you can get on the spot. So far, I can tell you that from our experience, we have all over Germany with the freelancer visa and self-employed, our clients got it on the spot. So it is possible. The freelancer visa, artist visa, self-employed usually go for the duration is for 2 years. So far, we managed to convince the immigration officers that they're going to give us clients 3 years. So this is something that, again, depends on storytelling. Okay, job seeking visa. I know that a lot of people, and I actually encountered a lot of Americans that really love the job seeking visa. It means that you can search for a job, mostly if you have academic degree in most states. You can look for a job from within Germany for 6 months. So you're allowed to stay legally, not work, and look for a job. It's for 6 months only. If you studied in a German university already, then it's 18 months. But since we are talking probably not about people who studied in Germany already, they have other options. Job seeking visa is the least recommended option, because as US citizens, as I said at the beginning, you are allowed to come to Germany and make all the arrangements from here. Opportunity card. It's actually, let's say, second favorite. It's a new residence permit that was presented in June this year. And it means you can get it for 1 year and you cannot renew it, at least not in the meantime by the new regulations. You have to have vocational training or a degree, German level of A1, and about for per month, it's about 1,027 euros, which is 1,082 US dollars, that you have to put in a blocked account. That I will explain blocked account when we get to the students because it's more relevant there. And also it means that you have to put a certain amount of money, which is more than just about 12,000. You put in advance blocked for a year. You can take out money each month, but you have to show to prove to the immigration office that this is something that you can do. Again, experience is very important. You also have to prove that you have where to live. Now, opportunity cards, and this is something that is really important to say, is mostly for non-preferred countries. As they keep saying, US is a favorite country, which means that people can come into Germany and do all the arrangements from here. Opportunity card, you can ask also at the embassy or consulate of the origin country. For US citizens, it's not required. And there are plenty of other residence permits that can be good for you. A specialist visa. Now, I was asked before about electrical engineering and about plumbing. So there is a list of high demand professions, and there are lots of things. Some of them need accreditation, yes. Some mostly medical professions, but also for electricians, for drivers, it's usually you need certain level of German, while blue card, for example, you don't need any German. For work visa, not usually you don't need any level of German. Freelancer, self-employed artist, you don't need any German. For this specific one, you need, because, for example, heavy truck, lorry, bus, tram, locomotive engine, I'm just taking the first example, you need to know German in order to get the license. So if you have a license for heavy trucks in the US, you would have to convert it to American, but it wouldn't be converted with heavy truck. It can also, it would only convert the regular car. That said, not all states can be converted. There's a list of states that there's an agreement with the federal German government that they allow just to convert. Otherwise, there are states, most of the states, that actually you have to do either partially eye exam and driving course and practical test, theory test that you have to do. So before you come to Germany, it's very recommended to check if your driving license is valid or if you have to do something in order to convert it to German one. So specialist visas go usually to, I would call it, Chamber of Commerce, in order to examine if it's possible, if another course is needed, other courses. So they will examine your specific credentials, and then we'll decide on your way to continue. Something that is extremely important to know, and then that would lead us actually to the study residence permits, is that US high school diploma is not recognized in Germany. So if you finished, it doesn't matter what high school you finished, it doesn't count in Germany. We do have as our professional secret how to make it work. But instead of the high school visa, if you took a few courses or something like that, that is really important. And another thing that I'm going to send you after the webinar, I'm going to send you an email with all the links that we're going to talk about. There's a website called Anabin, and there you can check if the university that you study at in the past or present is recognized by Germany. If it's not, I'm truly sorry, the academic degree wouldn't help. It means that if you're studying, I don't know, electrical engineering, for example, at Daytona State College, it is not recognized by Germany. So you have to decide, because some of the practical or profession diploma that you might have might be considered more for the Chamber of Commerce instead of an academic degree. And in the US, it costs a lot. Let's move on to study residence permit. So, of course, there's a student visa. For a student visa, you have to apply to a German, or, well, I would put it otherwise. You have to apply to a state-recognized university. We have colleges here, but it's in the European sense of college. So this is something in the mid, and it's not really higher education. So we have universities, we have private, we have public. Public ones, you would call it free. We don't have massive tuition here. You pay about 400 euros per semester, which translates to about the same in US dollars. But the tuition itself is free. You have to know German for most of the degrees. And then there are actually residence permit that can prepare you, that you can study German and stay here legally. Work terms are a little bit problematic. Student visa, for example, you can work, you get it for either 2 years or per semester, and each semester you have to renew it. You get an approval from your university, and then you have to renew it. Most universities don't do it themselves. For private, I talked about tuition in the public university. In private university, it can vary, it depends. It can be from 2 to 6,000 per semester. As long as they are state recognized, you're eligible for a student visa. Also, in all study residence permits, you have to have a blocked account. Again, blocked account, there are specific banks for that, mostly internet. And then there used to be like the traditional banks used to do it, but now they're not doing this anymore. And you basically block between 11 to 12,000, and then each month you can take out about 1,082. Hopefully you would have more money than that. With the student visa, you're allowed to work 20 hours a week, and it's because they want you to, it's a little bit complicated because they want you to come and study and not to come to work. So you have to take this under consideration if you're coming to study here. A language visa is also very popular. A language visa is for duration of 1 year. You have to be registered for a German course, intensive, and then it's about 18 hours a week. And then you can study the whole year German, and it's to prepare you, basically, either for university, for higher education, or for any other life that you're looking for, that you're planning in Germany. This is a visa that you cannot work with. So it's not possible. You also have to have a blocked account, but you're not allowed to work at all. Study prep, study preparation. It's a residence permit that you get for usually 2 years. Now, the terms are a little bit different from state to state. In most states, you don't have to get an approval from any university in order to get the visa. There are some states that require you to approach a university already, get the approval in general that you can apply afterwards, and then you can get the study prep visa. Most states, it's not like that. So you have to be registered for an intensive course, and the work is done by calendar year, which means in the first calendar year, if, for example, like we did with a client of ours, she came from Pennsylvania to Germany, and we timed her arrival to November. And then she had her appointment already, and she got the residence permit, and she could work only bank holidays during the calendar year, which meant that since January, she could work 20 hours a week. And then either when she's done with her German course to her satisfaction, or that she found a place to work, or that she decided to study, that was the option that she took, she just changed the visa. Changes between visas are very, I wouldn't say easy in all cases, but they can be, they are possible and totally okay. If you arrived as a student, you studied for 1-2 semesters, you found a job, you decided not to study anymore. And you found someone to sponsor you for a work residence permit, that's okay, you can switch. The same with language and study prep, mostly. Most states allow this. It depends a lot on the person who takes you as your caseworker at the immigration office. Family residence permits. Okay, so we start, of course, with the most, we call it simple one, but it's not really simple. It's to a German citizen. You have to have a spouse or children that are already with German citizenship, not in the process of nothing like that. They have to have a German citizenship when you apply. German citizenship, not the papers, but actually passport. And then you can apply as a spouse or parent of German citizen. There's a difference. If you apply as a spouse, you get usually 3 years duration of the residence permit. If you have children, minors, usually, and then you get the residence permit until they're 18, at least, and then you have more time. So if you're going to apply to family reunification residence permit to a German citizen, you have two options, basically. Just don't forget that. Of course, in each residence permit for family, you have to prove that you have how to sustain yourself and your family. In the case of family reunification to a German citizen, you have to have a level of A1 German. This can be done with, I don't know, most people do Duolingo, but also just make sure, and you can do the test. It's called Tal test, and you can do it also in the US if you're interested before you move here to Germany. And as long as it's, you know, in the last 2 years, it will be accepted. To an EU citizen, which includes all the 27 countries in the EU, you get your residence permit. Again, the spouse or children have to be with EU passport and not papers, not in the process. So it is possible to get by EU regulations. You get the residence permit for 5 years. And it doesn't matter if you're attached, if you're attached to the children or to the spouse. So this is something that is important to remember. And you don't need German in most states, not all states. Some of the states do require German level. For example, Hamburg. They would like your birth certificate, which is not required as an adult. In most states, you don't need birth certificates with apostille. Birth certificates of the children, yes, you need birth certificates with apostille, but also you need, you don't, like in Hamburg, it's very specific case, but there are also other states. Before I continue, it's important. I saw that someone wrote that he or she, them are from Utah. Now, I'm not so sure that you're aware of the term Utah marriage. It used to be very popular during COVID time, and it's actually Zoom, getting married with Zoom. So this is not valid. It used to be valid during COVID time. Now it's not anymore. So if you're married or civil union that is not marriage, right now, since LGBT community, for example, a few years ago, was recognized, there's a law, a bill passed called Equality to All. So everyone can get married. Everyone can do everything. So you have to be married. And Utah marriage do not consider as real marriage. You would have to marry, I don't know, Vegas, Denmark, Cyprus, Prague, whatever, and obviously other states of the US. Utah marriage as marriage have to be, and I highly recommend to consult a relocation agent or professional before you continue with the process if you have some kind of doubt regarding the marriage certificate that you have. To an EU blue card holder, it means again that you get the same duration as the blue card holder. You can get it in most states during with the fast track, and then you have all the rights to work, and that goes to each family reunification residence permit. You have the full rights. You can work as an employee, you can work as a freelancer, self-employed, whatever you want, as long as it's legal, yeah. And then it allows you to do, basically, you can open your own business as long as it's within the duration of the permit that you're attached to. So in the case of EU Blue Card holder, it's 4 years, and you can move all around Germany with that. That's not a problem. It goes in the process of fast track, for example, it goes with the application of the main applicant. So if one of the parents is the applicant, then children goes, spouse goes, everybody. Work residence permit goes for the duration of the work permit, which means if it's only for 1 year, then it's 1 year. If you change it in the middle to you got lucky and you got an unlimited contract, again, then you can change it. You have to change it for the whole family, and that can be renewed more and more and more. General, it means if it's not German citizen, married to a German citizen, EU citizen, blue card holder, or work permit. Anything else, it can be freelancer, self-employed, student, every other visa except for language visa in most states, language visa and study prep, then you would be able to ask for a general family reunification visa for the duration of the main applicant. And now we're gonna basically finish with other residence permits. I'm trying to keep the times here so we would have time for questions. Well, we call it the millionaire visa. That's not the name of the visa, of the residence permit, sorry. It's not the name. The name is other. But we call it millionaire because the terms are very specific. You have to have a few millions in the bank, if possible, a few apartments, real estate, no matter where, but you have to prove that you own them. By a few millions, I don't mean 1 or 2, because that can be very, very common. But you do need very specific health insurance that maybe I should say a few words about health insurance in a minute. And you have to answer specific terms, but the main criteria is to have a few millions in a bank, and preferred a German bank account, but it doesn't require, because in most banks you cannot have internet or traditional, you cannot have a bank account, a German bank account, without a residence permit. Another one is research. This is a little bit, I would say, it's not only for universities, for postdocs, it's also for researchers in labs or any other think tanks. It doesn't have to be something that is biology, physics, or something like that. It can be also liberal arts. And also research, if I don't know, like Homeland Security researcher that comes here for a year, 2, something like that. And then the think tank or the university or the lab are supposed to take care of your visa. If not, you have to go yourself to the immigration office with all the documents required, and then you can get this visa. It's very, very limited. You cannot work as something else. You're completely connected to your restrictions in the research permit. And of course, in the case of a family member, then it's possible for them to work, stay, study, whatever. And we're going to end with SOFA, that most of you probably know the term already. I'm not going to go, not going to talk about it that much, because it's not mostly, it's for military families and DoD contractors. If you plan at some point to move to Germany, no matter which area, which state, then if you plan to join the army, get sent to Germany, I really hope so, then military, whatever branch it is, takes care of your permit, and your family's. The same with DoD contractors. You're supposed to get all the support by SOFA terms, and that the DoD completely is aware of that. You don't need immigration office by yourself to do this. And of course, we can help if needed, but not actually do this because there are a lot of terms for that. So I try to, it's kind of like running through the different types. You are welcome to contact us, contact me at the email that is written here. And we would very much be happy to schedule a call, either FaceTime or WhatsApp, to short call to understand how can we address your needs and how can we assist you with your move here to Germany. And yeah, so I think that's it. And maybe now we can address, I see the questions are coming and coming and coming and coming. Wow. Okay. 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 German citizenship, I don't want to get into it today. I think that it's very complicated for this webinar. We would have an additional webinar about citizenship, and then we can talk. But you can have a dual citizenship in US and Germany. It's going to be a long time. Yes, you can find different visas. It depends on different residence permits. It depends on what you do, what your education level is, and if you don't do it, let's say if it's not your profession so far before you move to Germany, you can find, I call it, you can reinvent yourself. So, for example, I moved to Germany 11 years ago. I forgot to present myself a little bit. I moved to Germany 11 years ago. I came on a study prep visa, and I changed it afterwards after I learned some German. I changed it to tour guide visa, and then I started another professional path that I plan to. So moving to a new country is basically allowing you to reinvent yourself. So maybe you're not going to do, and the variety of the permits is very big. So you can actually choose something that would fit you specifically. So it's very different from a person to person. How, again, for the citizenship, we're going to do a different webinar. So we're going to move it. So for retirees, it is possible, even if you never lived in Europe, it is possible for retirees. It depends on what you do. If you plan only to retire, probably the most suitable visa for you would be what I call the millionaire visa. And the issue for retirees is mostly the health insurance. Now, in Germany, there's public. Each resident, no matter the citizenship, has to have health insurance, public or private. Americans, most of them have private healthcare, which means that it's a little bit problematic if they're not employees, they're not hired here. So they might have a problem to get into the public health insurance, which is better than the private one. So for retirees, it's a little bit more complex because private health insurance company mostly do not accept over 60. And then the public healthcare insurance take them. There are many, but it costs a lot, and it depends on your income. If you get Social Security from the US, if you have other income from somewhere else, so it would count into your health insurance and can come up to 1,200 a person a month. Another two words, if I may, about healthcare. when you're an employee, so your employer pays half of your health insurance. It includes dental, but usually we recommend to do a separate one because dental is always complex. And as a freelancer, there are terms that you can get into the public healthcare, but usually you would have to go private. And again, it's whole new different webinar. But it is possible to retire here in Germany on certain terms. Also possible to come and declare yourself as a freelancer, get a freelancer, for example, work permit, and just we tell you how to navigate the way to that. Can one work while holding an opportunity card? Yes. You get the opportunity card for 1 year, and it allows you to work and look for a job at the same time for this year. We are in contact with a company that support Meta and their headquarters are in Berlin, and they also allow remote work, but only from Germany. And they agreed to take people that come through us and to take them with the opportunity card. Again, it's very new, and the German bureaucratic system is very slow and not efficient, unlike the stereotype that Germans have. And then you would have to, until they implement everything, it takes a little bit of time. But again, I really don't recommend to take the opportunity card for US citizens. It's just a waste of time because also, and this is something that I didn't say, and it's really important, that you can, if you obtain your visa at the consulate or embassy in the US, then you will have to redo the process again in Germany. So to do the process twice, not sure it's favorable to people. So you have to consider it when you apply in the consulate or embassy. Can you work if you have a residence permit, or do you need to work permit? The work permit is the family reunification permit, and you can fully work. Family reunification does not apply for adult children of German citizens. Yes, minors. Let's say from age 18, it's very difficult, it's complex, and age 18, we usually recommend to do kind of study visas, study residence permits, and or others. There are many options, but less of the family reunification visa permit. Again, depends which states. So it's a little bit problematic. Applying family reunification under my daughter, who is an EU citizen, is a longer permit than through my German husband. Yes, it is possible. However, again, it depends on the state. It depends on the person, your caseworker, the immigration office. They might say, okay, you have a German husband, so you have to do the German. But in the form, the application form, you can ask already for a permit as a parent of EU citizen. So it is possible, depends on which state, and depends on the goodwill of the caseworker. Could you share what you consider tips for good storytelling? Well, that's a professional secret. We basically take the documents and the story of the person that we work with, and we build a story. And if certain data need to be, well, to tell it otherwise, to explain the whole picture. And sometimes numbers, they're not the whole story. So we know the situation, if there are limitations, if there are specific personal issues that need to be addressed. So we do this in the storytelling, and this is basically I think the secret for success. Heading out soon. Starting the process in the US preferred, as I said, not really. Definitely if you want to move in January. So that's not really preferred to start there. Just come to Germany and do this from here. Having a vocational certificate but not a degree would be safer decision to further education in a German university? Yes. As opposed to American institution? Yes. Even if you study German in order to get into public German university, and again, it doesn't have to be public German university. It can be private university that charges 5,000 semester, but still it has to be state recognized. So you can actually study here for a bachelor degree. We also have recommendations if you're interested, but it has to be state recognized in order to get the student visa. And language test you take if the university has this kind of application requirement. The language visa, you're not expected to a certain level of German because this permit is for learning German. So that would be a little bit weird if you're applying for a language visa and German. So that would be a little bit weird. So probably you should come with zero knowledge in German. You really need, in order to retire, yes, I see that it was already answered, that it's you don't need millions of dollars in order to retire in Germany. No, it's for a specific visa type. Okay. If an American stays in Germany to look for a job, no contract yet, they would need a residence permit for a job seeker visa. In general, you can say so. That said, US citizens are allowed to come to Germany, stay here for 90 days, and within these 90 days, they can make the arrangements. For example, you came in, I don't know, January 1st. And then you work your way trying to find a workplace. And then your 90 days are about to, up. So then you apply. If you found someone, then you can also apply for another visa in the meantime. Job seeking visa is very tricky in most states, so I wouldn't recommend that. But you can be in Germany for 90 days within 180 every 90 days. So then it's highly recommended to actually come here. Of course, look for a workplace from the US if you're interested. It's possible. People did this before. People do this all the time. So it's possible, but it's not necessarily required. Wait. Uh, Retired 64 with retirement income and good savings, not millions. I think we need something, to discuss it more in details. So then I can say to see how we can make the process go. Which did you need to save for retired non-millionaires? There are few options. So it's something that we can, some of them I said already. I was told I couldn't get public health insurance if I apply for a visa over the age of 55 and have lived in Germany. That's what I answered already. Yeah, so we're about to finish. So I'm sorry that we couldn't answer all the questions, but we have email that you can talk to us and you can contact us through the website. One thing that maybe, since you were very kind and stayed, until the end of this and, listen so carefully. I'm very thankful. We will give 10% off for each person that writes to us that he or she or them were this webinar and would like to move. So every person, every individual that was present here today or with the recording and say and write us that, so you will get 10% off for each service. So thank you very much, everybody, and I hope you have a nice day and rest of the weekend. And for personalized consultation, you're welcome to talk to us. And I'm very thankful for the time that you dedicated to us.